Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, March 12th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News as we're in day 13 of the Iran war. And it's not slowing down. It doesn't appear. It doesn't appear. What do we have for you today in the news? Jared Kushner now, it looks like officially got a government position now after starting the Iran war, or helping to start it. Should have been fired, him and Witkoff. I mean, there were diplomats allegedly negotiating. They failed, and now he's been named special envoy for peace. We have some of that reporting the corruption of Jared Kushner and Donald Trump. Cover that. We've got, it kind of is all melting together here now. The economy, the war, it's all tied together. It's all tied together. There's some attacks. We'll go over that. They attacked a synagogue today. Where was it at? Michigan. I think it was in Michigan. And there was another attack at Old Dominion University. Active shooter threat. We'll go over those. Is the I'm going to stage up a false flag. Looks like it. Looks like it. We'll cover that. We'll cover that. Some interesting details coming out about the reporting from ABC yesterday. We'll take a look at that. Oil. What's up with the Strait of Hormuz? Conflicting reports as per usual, as per this war. It's hard to really nail down. And massive censorship all over the place as well. Some reports say Iran is putting out mines all over Strait of Hormuz. Other reports say no. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. We'll take another look at Strait of Hormuz today and what all that is involving. And I believe underreported. I saw it a little bit here and there, but not as much as it should have been, as it should be. And that's why I'm going to report it here. The fertilizer trade going through the Strait of Hormuz as well. And of course, that's going to, if that's shut down, that's going to have a direct impact on global agriculture production. So we'll take a look at that. And what else do we got? More lying out of NASA. We'll cover that. Money laundering, lying out of NASA. We got a little bit about public health news today. I guess we can't talk about the miracles. They're wonderful. Everybody knows. Get all your miracles. But I guess we can talk about the GLP-1s. So we'll take a look at the Ozempic and how you can buy it from TrumpRx.gov. Take a look at that. What do we got? We're going to keep reporting on Epstein. We got more Epstein reporting. And then we're going to Lebanon's on fire. What's it like? 800, 900, a million people, something like this. The UN put out an estimate. I don't know where we'll get to that in the show here, but a lot of people are being displaced right now in Lebanon as they're doing direct attacks on Beirut. Beirut's on fire. They're blowing up stuff everywhere here now. We got a couple clips from our shadow president, Bibi. And a lot of war reporting here. Well, we can sort through. But yeah, direct hit downtown Beirut. Beirut's on fire, as it says in the headline. And then we have a message from the new Khamenei's son, right? The new Supreme Leader of Iran has put out a message. I'll read it to you here now, so we can see what they're saying. All that and much more. And we got body count numbers. They're stacking bodies. It's horrific. In this freaking war. War's evil. War's a racket. End it. Of course, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Doesn't appear. It does not appear. As America's mulling over boots on the ground, the Marines, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see all this reporting and much more on this Thursday edition of Weaponized News. Let's get to this day in history and get to all the news for you today. Let's take a look on this day in history of March 12th. We go back to the year 1455, and we see the Gutenberg's Bible, first record of Jonas Gutenberg's Bible, a letter dated this day by Ina Salvino, refers to the Bible printed a year earlier. And we were reported at the end of the show from Greg Reese about the old Christian Zionist Bible, to bring it full circle for everybody here now. On this day in 1496, they were doing some noticing there in Syria, and they expelled the aardvarks, a continuing theme throughout history that we continue to report here. And they were just being antiseptic, prejudice against indoor plumbing, right? Yeah, that's the program. Okay. On this day in 1790, the French Revolution, the National Assembly issues a decree allowing for the sale of church land by French municipalities. In 1799, on this day, Austria declares war on France. 1848, on this day, the Second Republic established in France. The next year, 1849, the 49ers, the gold rush, first gold seekers arrive in Nicaragua en route to California. On this day, 1849, 1850, the first U.S. $20 gold piece is issued. 1894, on this day, Coca-Cola is sold in bottles for the first time in a candy store in Vicksburg, Mississippi. In 1917, on this day, the sinking of the Algonquin, a German submarine sinks an unarmed U.S. merchant ship, the Algonquin, on the same day that U.S. President Woodrow Wilson gives executive order to arm U.S. merchant ships. I'm sure it's all just a coincidence. On this day in 1918, fearing a foreign invasion, Vladimir Lenin shifts revolutionary Russia's capital from Petrograd, St. Petersburg, to Moscow, Russia. 1928, on this day in California, the St. Francis Dam fails, killing over 600 people. 1933, on this day, FDR conducts his first fireside chat as U.S. president via radio, speaking directly to 60 million Americans listening 8 days after his inauguration as the 32nd president of America. In 1947, on this day, we saw the introduction of the Truman Doctrine. The introduction of the Truman Doctrine, and that's the start of the Cold War. We'll take a look at that. And of course, Harry Truman was our 33rd president here. We'll take a look at the start of the Cold War in our civil liberties section here, coming up in a second. 1957, on this day, The Cat in the Hat is published by Dr. Seuss. Now, a bunch of Dr. Seuss's writings are deemed offensive when you know. So, Cat in the Hat, all-time classic there, published on this day, 1957. 1970 on this day, U.S. lowers voting age from 21 to 18. And so vote harder. I'm sure the next corrupt politician will lie better than the last corrupt politician. 1980 on this day, a lot of 33s here. 1980 on this day, jury finds John Wayne Gacy guilty of murdering 33 people in Chicago. And 2012 on this day, The Hunger Games premieres in Los Angeles, California. And aren't we rapidly approaching some type of Hunger Games, pick your dystopic novel, film, where they're all meshing together in these Venn diagram memes you can see, right? Hunger Games feels like a part of our future, just saying. And why do they put out these dystopic novels and films? Predictive programming, I believe, is one of the reasons here now. And then remember back to the bat times. The bat times in 2020, Trump, then president, on this day bans travel with 26 European countries, though not UK, due to bats everywhere. And then the next year, 2021, then Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi, however you pronounce the name, imposes new bat restrictions, warning of new wave as cases exceed 25,000 a day. And I'm not even going to get into it about the cases here for you. Okay, the start of the Cold War on this day in our civil liberties history. The Cold War begins. The Truman Doctrine is announced. President Harry Truman gave, and are we all living in the Truman Show, right? The reality show. You see the meme where they're like, do this, some crazy thing, right? It kind of feels like it sometimes. During the bat times, especially when I was like the only one not wearing a mask in like a big shopping center, and I'm looking around, I'm like, I feel like real life Truman Show here, like very surreal. Anyhow, continuing. On this day, 1947, Truman gave a major speech on foreign policy, announcing the Truman Doctrine, which held that the U.S. would oppose communism around the world. The speech is generally regarded as marking the beginning of the Cold War. 9 days later, on March 21st, 1947, he issued an executive order 9835, establishing a federal loyalty program that required loyalty investigations of all federal employees. The Cold War resulted in innumerable violations of civil liberties at home and abroad. Truman's loyalty program, which operated on the principle of guilt by association, led to violations of freedom of speech and association. The domestic Cold War is often referred to by the shorthand term McCarthyism, but in fact, Truman's program preceded the appearance of Senator Joseph McCarthy by 3 years overseas. Meanwhile, the CIA engaged in covert actions that violated standards of human decency and American democracy. You don't say. On this day in 2003, California libraries warn of government snooping in response to government requests for library circulation records of certain people. Public libraries in California posted notices to its patrons about government surveillance, which was allowed under the U.S. Patriot Act. The Santa Monica Public Libraries, it was reported on this day, posted a sign advising that the FBI has the right to obtain a court order to access any records we have of your transactions in the library, a right given to them by Section 215 of the U.S. Patriot Act. And FISA, what is it, 702 is coming up for renewal here now. The same routine they used to spy on Trump. And according to reports out of Politico, Trump's all for it. That's the illegal spying on your whole network, essentially. And so, of course, Trump would be all for it. On this day in 2013, in our civil liberties history, Director of National Intelligence lies to the Senate about NSA spying. James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence under President Barack Obama, testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee on this day and lied about whether or not any intelligence agencies were engaged in spying on American citizens. 3 months later, news stories based on documents stolen and released by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden revealed that the NSA had been conducting massive illegal spying on Americans. Clapper's false testimony to Congress constituted a felony, although he was never prosecuted. Indeed. Yeah, I remember. He said, well, we're not spying, we're just gathering all the metadata. And then if we choose to target you, then we're going to have all that metadata at our disposal because you may be a terrorist. Thanks a lot, Patriot Act. Are they ever going to declassify 9/11? No. Nope. Because it implicates our own government and our allies. At the White House today, Trump signed a proclamation for Women's History Month. I don't know, should kids be allowed around Trump at this point? Let's take a look at this segue to the news. I'm starting to get concerned.
So, you ready? Okay. No auto pen, right, Bam? Am I allowed? No auto pen.
No auto pen. Hilarious, Trump. But the problem is, you guys are not going to do anything about Mr. Biden auto pen, are you? And seriously, at this point, should children be allowed around Trump? This is the propaganda coming out of the White House trying to sell us this war. Undefeated, they say. Truly disgusting. We got reports of injured U.S. soldiers today. They're dead U.S. soldiers. This ain't no game. This ain't a video game. They're stacking bodies all over the place. Here's Trump last night. Pretty unbelievable where we're at here with this level of propaganda.
Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now.
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden. One of the
They're trying to say there's all these Iranian sleeper terrorist cells. Well, why don't they go arrest them? Because it's bullshit. Talking about bullshit, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has been appointed as special envoy for peace, which means that Kushner must file his legally required public financial disclosure report in the next 10 days and divest from any conflicting interests. So they're finally putting him on the government rolls here now after he started the Iran war, him and Witkoff with their failed diplomacy. How do these guys have a freaking job? Well, welcome to government. You fail upwards, right? So he got a promotion. I guess we can say at least it's good now he's going to officially be working for the government when he's negotiating Russia-Ukraine peace deal, which looks like a total disaster. The Iran peace deal, total and complete failure. I would have to say at this point, that's by design and on purpose. And then over here, yeah, maybe we want to, have talks again. Iran's like, F you, bud. You know what I mean? And do you blame them? You know what I mean? It's like, here's old Chris Christie. Remember this character? He's talking about when he was their prosecutor in New Jersey. He prosecuted Jared Kushner's father. Let's watch this short clip about the degeneracy of Jared Kushner's father. Take a listen to this, if you didn't know already. And Trump pardoned him, didn't he? Pretty sure he did.
I think the single biggest reason Jared got into the Trump White House was to ensure that his father would be pardoned.
But people don't know who's his father.
His father was, when I prosecuted him in 2004, the second richest man in New Jersey. He hired a prostitute to seduce his sister's husband.
Yeah.
Videotaped it. And then on the day of his sister's son's engagement party, an engagement party that he was going to attend, he had the videotape delivered to his sister's house so she could see her husband having sex with someone else.
You are the head of the transition in 2016. There's going to be some interfacing with Jared Kushner, I'd imagine, right?
Much to his chagrin, yes. Yeah. The day that Trump was naming me, he went into Trump's office and said, "You can't do this," in front of me.
In front of you?
Oh, yeah.
And what was the argument?
I'm immoral, I'm a bad person, and said that it should have never been prosecuted. It wasn't a crime. It was something that should have been handled by the rabbis. Because it was a family dispute.
Oh.
And I just sat there and didn't say anything. And finally, Trump looked at me and said, "Are you going to say anything to defend yourself?" I said, "I want to defend myself to him." And by the way, I looked at him and said, "By the way, your father pled guilty to all 18 counts. So
there's some credit to Trump in this that he said, "All right, fine."
Yeah, he named me anyway. But then, of course, he fired me because Jared just continued to pound me.
But that was Jared, you think, that precipitated that firing?
Oh, I know it was Jared.
Okay.
Because both Donald Trump and Steve Bannon told me it was Jared.
Well, there you go. Should just let the rabbis handle everything. Why even have any system in this country at all? Just let rabbis handle everything, right? Are they saying aardvark sleeper cells? Yeah. JP Morgan, the real power in this country, said if the U.S. cannot achieve a short-term victory in Iran, it seems likely that it would be forced to attempt a ground war to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. If so, this could transform into a multi-year war. They made that statement earlier today. The Pentagon is assembling a 30-person team of investment bankers from Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Bank of America to funnel $200 billion into defense deals over 3 years. Report out of Semaphore. I don't know. It's adding up like we're preparing for a long war. 4 military drones were stolen from Fort Campbell, Kentucky in late November. The Army is offering $5,000 reward money for information. The FBI warned of potential Iranian drone attack on the West Coast just yesterday. And the internet is doing what it does. The theory revolves around the stolen U.S. military drones that could be used to hit American targets and make it look like Rand did it. The 2026 Oscars are on high alert. FBI warning of potential Iranian surprise attack during the Oscars ceremony. That's a report out of the New York Post, if you can believe it. Where was this? It was Michigan, wasn't it? So there was an attack today. There was an attack on a synagogue. Thick black smokes pouring from Temple Aardvark after someone drove a vehicle into the building and shots rang out. The vehicle reportedly caught on fire in the early childhood care center there. But turns out, was it in Michigan? Yeah, it was in Michigan, right? Yeah. It's in Detroit, actually. Turns out, oh, and the attacker's dead too, by the way. But turns out the FBI led active shooter training at Temple Aardvark in Detroit less than 2 months ago, where an attack happened today. The synagogue's clergy and staff participated in the FBI-led training, which specifically used scenario-based exercises similar to the attack that happened today. Let's watch this short clip. Sure, it's just all coincidence, you see.
We're told it's an active shooter. We can or could see, this is earlier video of smoke coming from the synagogue, and there's a fire, appears to be a fire. Smoke coming from the synagogue, what appears to be a fire is all we can say at this point.
Yeah, there's also some video coming into Fox 2 here of Oakland County Sheriff's members with assault rifles that appear to be approaching the area. So this does look like an active shooter situation here.
Are they setting up these scenarios? I mean, give me a freaking break already, man. FBI personnel are on the scene with our Michigan partners and responding to apparent vehicle ramming in to the synagogue, an active shooter situation. The FBI, Mr. Kash Patel, I'm covering up for Epstein, had that to say. Old Dominion University shooter identified as Mohammed Baylor Jalal, 36-year-old, a former U.S. National Guardsman, previously convicted on federal terrorism charges for plotting an attack in support of ISIS and ISIL in 2016. Another patsy, according to a report out of the Associated Press. Kash Patel, I can't look at you straight and lie about Epstein files. That FBI director that won a gold medal for his Epstein cover-ups, that same Kash Patel has said that the UFC fighters will train FBI agents this week. UFC fighters are training FBI agents. We are literally in bread and circus clown world mania on maximum overdrive. Okay, we reported on this yesterday. The ABC report where the FBI had put out a memo warning about potential terror attacks by Iran in Los Angeles. The White House is backhandedly trying to debunk this. Bobblehead Trust and Trump woman Levitt says this post and story should be immediately retracted by ABC News for providing false information to intentionally alarm the American people They wrote this based on one email that was sent to local law enforcement in California about a single unverified tip, kind of like all the Epstein tips. The email even states the tip was based on unverified intelligence, yet ABC News left out that critical fact in their story. Why? To be clear, no such threat from Iran to our homeland exists, and it never did. They put this out as a trial balloon to see what the public's reaction on social media was going to be to them announcing. And overwhelmingly, thankfully, the public said, nah, this will be a false flag attack. We don't believe you, lying criminal government. And so that is causing them to pull back on this. But that's obviously what was the intention of this report in the first place, was to gauge where the public is at and what the reaction will be if Iran actually attacks us here on U.S. soil. Obviously, part of this story, though, that the internet has dug up, Stu Peters posted this, but I saw other people posting it as well. So who knows who came up with the original research at this point. But this is rather concerning. Remember old Larry Silverstein, the Twin Towers owner there in New York, when old Ben and Bush took down the towers. Remember all that? Well, it turns out U.S. Bank Tower, and he owned it, and he said pull the building and got billions of dollars in insurance money because there was asbestos in it, and on it goes. We're not going down the 9/11 rabbit hole today, but Larry Silverstein profited handsomely from 9/11. Now turns out old Larry Silverstein's still around. He's the owner of U.S. Bank Tower there in LA. Who knew? Well, the internet did some searching and they figured it out here now. U.S. Bank Tower is 1,018 feet high. U.S. Bank Tower offers tenants a level of quality, luxury, and prestige that few rivals in the United States. And it just goes on to describe the building. Silverstein Properties has completed a $60 million capital improvement program to modernize the building. The renovation breathes new life into over 3,500 or 35,000 square feet of common area spaces. So wouldn't that be too much if Iran attacked Larry Silverstein's building in LA? Wouldn't that be too much? But wouldn't surprise me at this point if they did it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me. But interesting coincidences there, to say the least. Operation Epstein Fury coming from U.S. CENTCOM, and they've been quiet today, actually. Department of War, pretty quiet. U.S. Central Command, pretty quiet, honestly. Operation Epstein Fury, Epic Fury. It's an update today from the Department of War, U.S. Central Command. They say they have struck approximately 6,000 Iranian targets. Iranian vessels damaged or destroyed 90 plus. The mine layers 30 plus, and the ships 60 plus. U.S. Central Command claims U.S. assets employed. I'm not going to read all these, but you can see a whole lot of guns. We got a whole lot of guns out there. Big guns, small guns, laser guns, and every other kind of gun in between, right? Look at all this. It's costing us billions per day in this operation. Believe it. Types of targets. Right here. Command and control centers, headquarters, intelligence sites, integrated air defense systems, ballistic missile sites, Iranian naval and ships and submarines, Iranian air defense systems, anti-ship missile sites, military communication capabilities, ballistic missile and drone manufacturing, weapons production facilities, surface-to-air missile facilities, mine-laying ships, factories, and warehouses, and a whole bunch of civilians as well. Oh, and they left out schoolgirls and schools there. That was also their primary target here to kick off this blood-letting satanic ritual known as war. Look, how out of touch can Trump be, and who could possibly cheer this on? Like, is MAGA this brain dead? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. We have that report, Carrie. I got that. Carrie says the KC-135 downed. We have that report here, I believe, later in the show. But Trump posted this earlier today. He says the United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. We just stole all Venezuela's oil, right? So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. Who's we? So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. You and I, we don't make a lot of money. You know who makes a lot of money? The Rockefeller oil oligarchs make a lot of money. The rest of us are getting screwed, cash strapped, trying to figure out how to put money in the car to go to work to pay for your war. So the disconnect, the elitist attitude of Trump, publicly stating it now. Publicly stating it. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. Not unless you're a shareholder of an oil company or you are that oil company. And juxtaposing Trump's attitude toward all this, Mexico president, Latina woman, Sheinbaum, and 96% of gas stations in Mexico have agreed to freeze the price of gas at the pump amid record-setting increases in the cost of oil. Trump and Bibi need to work on corrupting Sheinbaum a little bit more there. You know what I mean? Helping out the people there a little bit too much. A little bit too much. This joker, Secretary of Energy, Wright. Remember, what was it, 2 days ago, yesterday? He posted, oh yeah, Navy's escorting ships through the state, oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. There ain't no problem. Then he deleted that post because it was a lie. The Navy is not, let me repeat that again. The Navy is not escorting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. But again, with the propaganda, he was on the War Channel, Fox News, and they're literally saying, we've been at war with Iran for 47 years. That's a bunch of propaganda coming out of the side of their mouth, talking out both sides of their mouth. We've always been at war with East Asia. We've never been at war with East Asia, a la 1984. But they're out of the side of their mouth. Oh, we've always been at war with Iran. Really? Really? Energy Secretary Wright went on to say, we're destroying their ability to threaten the United States troops in the region and ultimately to threaten energy markets. We have a report from Iran, and we can't believe any of it, right? But a report from Iran says they are claiming that they've destroyed 70% of U.S. bases in the region or operating capacity of said bases. I don't know. We'll get to that toward the end when we take a look at Beirut on fire. Oil prices could surge sharply if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed for an extended period, according to projections from Bloomberg Economics. The outlook suggests Brent crude could spike to around $100 if the strait is shut for a month. Iran yesterday was saying, we'll jack up the price to $200 a barrel. America, see how you like that? About $130 within 2-month disruption. and up to roughly $150, $160 per barrel if closures last 3 months or longer. Yeah, not looking good. United States Energy Department says the United States to release 172 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserve. Strait of Hormuz crisis is escalating. About 1,000 ships, including roughly 200 oil tankers, are waiting to pass through the strait as the situation becomes increasingly more dangerous. Normally, around 20 million barrels of oil move through the strait every day. Right now, that flow has dropped down to 10%. Iran said you got to get them to sign off to not blow you up, essentially. Why it matters. Iran's military effectively controls the strait. Ships that attempt to cross risk being targeted. Most of the remaining traffic is Iran export oil to China. Yeah. So here's the strait, right? They got to, if you want to, you got to try to make it through here, and that's a rough going with Iran having all kinds of guns pointed at you to make it through there. At least 18 commercial vessels were targeted in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz since the beginning of the Iran war. The world's most critical oil choke point. Take another look at a different map here. Here's where we're at with it. You could see, yeah, you get right in here and it's getting extremely dangerous if you don't have the blessing of Iran. About 30 super tankers are heading toward Saudi Arabia's Red Sea port of Yanbu. Normal traffic is about 2 per month. Saudi Arabia is rerouting oil exports through its western coast after Iran essentially closed the Strait of Hormuz. Saudi Arabia plans to push roughly 5 million barrels per day through the Red Sea, but the new route carries its own risks. Tankers still have to pass through the Bab Ali Mandab Strait, where Houthis attack ships for 2 years, and which is also within range of Iranian missiles. Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE have cut production as their Gulf storage facilities hit capacity, according to a report out of the Financial Times. And take a look at this alternative route that they're trying to use here now. Potentially right there. Statement on the USS Gerald R. Ford from the U.S. Fifth Fleet. This from U.S. Central Command. They say today the USS Gerald R. Ford experienced a fire that originated in the ship's main laundry space. The cause of the fire was non-combat related and it was contained. There is no damage to the ship's propulsion plant and the aircraft carrier remains fully operational. 2 sailors are currently receiving medical treatment for non-life-threatening injuries and are in stable condition. That's the story they're telling, and they're sticking to it. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bissett says the Navy, possibly with an international coalition, will escort vessels through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as militarily possible, and that they have been planning for this for months leading up to the Iran war. That's not going to happen, first of all. And how are they planning for this leading up? I thought we were in good faith having diplomatic talks with Iran. Yeah, he's full of shit. And there's a bunch of homosexuals running around the Trump administration and close with Trump. Lindsey Graham, Bissett, a bunch of them. A bunch of them. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, how's that going to affect global fertilizer markets? That's underreported, but is a big part of shipping through there as well. It's estimated that 20% of the world's oil and liquid natural gas trade flows through the Strait of Hormuz, and roughly 1/3 of global seaborne fertilizer trade. 1/3. So we're going to see a fertilizer shortage here now due to the Strait of Hormuz being closed. So everybody keep an eye out on that as well. So who's benefiting from all this the most? Rockefeller oil oligarchs? Well, seems like Russia is now being reported. According to the Financial Times, Russia has so far earned a roughly $1.3 to $1.9 billion windfall from taxes on oil exports after the Strait of Hormuz was closed, essentially closed, raising demand for Russian crude oil from India and China. Fueling the Russian war machine much, Trump? Hackers from group Handala, alleged Iranian hacker group, claim they breached the account of Raz Zimet, a senior Aardvarkland intelligence officer and head of the Iran department. They say they gained access to tens of thousands of confidential emails and all associated data. That's coming out of Press TV. That's Iranian TV. So who freaking knows how accurate that is? But the report's out there. So I'm passing it on to you. Nancy Mace, she's trying to do something apparently. Says there are thousands of Americans stranded in Aardvarkland and across the Middle East right now. We've been giving warnings for weeks and weeks. Get out, get out. Well, State Department don't give a damn about Americans overseas, no matter what lies and propaganda they tell you. 19 U.S. service members evacuated from Saudi Arabia to Germany after being wounded by Iranian attacks, according to a report out of ZBS News. They're still complaining, bitching about the partial government shutdown. The White House says across America, travelers are stuck in long TSA lines as officers work without pay, while radical left Democrats drag the DHS shutdown into the 27th day. Yeah, they're working without pay because they're perverts that are date raping people. And so that is their pay here now at the airport. Abolish the TSA, abolish the Department of Homeland Security. They're unconstitutional, illegal, all based on the bogus Patriot Act, all based on bogus 9/11. They haven't stopped one terrorist, but they do send you through a naked body scanner and date rape you. That's what they do. Here's these jokers, another money laundering scam, scheme, fraud, otherwise known as NASA. So apparently NASA is involved in the war as well. Let's hear from their new head about the war effort out of NASA.
Space is the ultimate high ground, right? President Trump certainly knows this. It's why he created the Space Force during his first term. It's why he created the Artemis program, which is kind of on the peaceful civil side of space, which is my responsibility at NASA. And that's America's moon rocket behind us right now. But you're absolutely spot on. The assets we have in space, the satellites that are there for observation, for communication. I mean, these are the capabilities that are identifying the rocket launches, that are communicating to our forces and give America an extreme edge in this conflict. Space is the
No, his ears are not satellites, Denver. All right. Even though some people, Elon Musk proposed making his ears satellites, but that didn't go anywhere. Just kidding, Mr. Isaac Man, Mr. Big Ear Satellite Man. Here's more from him. More lying about we're going back to the moon. Let's take a listen.
What's most important about Artemis is it's a program that lives on beyond any one rocket. You know, President Trump wants to make sure that we pick up where Apollo 17 left off. We are not just going back to the moon to plant the flag and bring home rocks and leave the footsteps, but to build an enduring presence on the moon, a moon base where we can realize the scientific, economic, national security value on the moon.
Bobby said, he just said that, Bobby said brought back a rock. We're not bringing back rocks this time.
To be a proving ground to test out the capabilities for someday when America's journey takes us to Mars. So this is the opening episode, but you're going to start seeing moon launches to the moon almost on a monthly cadence. A lot of uncrewed vehicles are going to go there as we start to build out the moon base. You're going to see crewed vehicles with astronauts going at some point every year, eventually getting down to 6 months. Vehicle architecture will change until you've got repeatable, affordable missions going to and from the moon.
They're really going to run the scam on us again. And $1 billion down a black hole of fraud. If we went to the moon, what, in 1969, as they allege, what happened? Let's take a listen to this clip. Why is it so difficult to get back? Well, they got rid of all the technology. Let's take a listen to this clip. Shout out to everybody. I see a couple people tuning in on the chat. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
If they really went to the moon and spent $250 billion, the last thing in the world you would do would be to destroy it. But if they perpetrated a fraud and you could prove the rocket didn't have enough fuel to leave Earth orbit, which it didn't, and you could prove that the lunar module couldn't run air conditioning for 3 days on a bunch of car batteries against 250 degrees outside, then you would destroy it. So for the first time in the world, technology, and in today's dollars, one that cost $250 billion, was intentionally destroyed.
What was the technology that was intentionally destroyed?
All of the Apollo equipment, the technology to go to the moon. But we destroyed that technology. They destroyed it. They also destroyed all of the original videotapes, all of the original telemetry data as to where the rocket was, and they disassembled and sent the parts to the wind, the only machine that could ever play the videotapes if they were ever found. And that happened days after Ron Howard asked for HD transfers to project it on an IMAX screen. He had to go to Blockbuster and rent videos. 95% of that movie are reenactments shot in a TV studio. He went to Blockbuster Video because they destroyed the original videotapes, which you would never do if you went, but that's exactly what you would do if you perpetrated a fraud. There's never been a time in history where technology was 1,000 times greater in the past, or they intentionally destroyed the technology. Never happened, except with the moon rock.
So it's just all bad luck, right? What did Mac said? I saw a comment from Mac on the YouTube. He said, "Who will govern the moon?" Well, or will the moon be governed by elected officials? AI probably, because it's all going to be bullshit anyway. So have a bullshit robot govern it. Might as well. Everybody's favorite surveillance technocracy company, Palantir Technologies and NVIDIA, have unveiled a new sovereign AI operating system. And so that's very exciting. Look forward to that spying. The initiative targets the $600 billion sovereign AI market, driven by geopolitical needs for data independence, reducing reliance on US-based cloud giants like Amazon and Azure, and leveraging NVIDIA's GPUs with Palantir's ontology software. And then let's take a look at the national debt. There we are on the US debt clock. We're almost at 39 trillion there. We'll be there before you know it. At this rate, you can see right there. And what are we burning over $1 billion a day on the Iran war right now? Where are we at? We're almost at the top of the hour. What do we got? We got public health section next. I did see a post. I wanted to tie this in. I think it ties into later. Let me take the live commercial break now. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers. Holograph sticker. We got the white background sticker. The clear sticker as well. All 3 stickers available at weaponizednews.com. We have t-shirts, coffee mugs, all kinds of gear over there, baseball caps, all kinds of gear. Go check out weaponizednews.com/shop. It's in the description below this video. We take donations, help support independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. Give us a donation if you don't want to patron the store. Buy me a coffee, Cash App, Bitcoin wallet address in the description below this video. We have a PayPal donation button on the front page of Weaponized News. Every way, subscribe to us. I haven't put together the thing yet. John, I do appreciate your advice about give everybody somewhere to go subscribe. I'd have to say Substack. If you want to be a subscriber, and I don't put anything behind the paywall. That's why I got kicked off Rockfin, because I was like, take it, share it, spread it. Everybody needs to know this stuff, right? I'm still there. I'm not going to put anything behind a paywall. But you can pay for subscriptions. And I guess the only bonus that you would get, the bonus you'll get from being a paid subscriber, and I put out everything free on Substack too. But Substack seems okay as far as subscriptions and how it sorts out. So I'll direct everybody to subscribe through Substack, because I'm putting all the links to almost everything we talk about on this show. So that's your sources on Weaponized News Substack. So if you want to become a subscriber, and appreciate everybody who is a paid subscriber, I would recommend subscribing through Substack. And with that, that's all the commercial I got for you. Give me a like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All that's free. All of that's free. And we're back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Thursday, March 12th, 2026 edition. let's take a look here now at the Department of Public Health. The FDA is celebrating Women's Health Month. Just saying, women's, I would stay as far away from these people as you possibly can because of the bats, as the most recent example. But here's the head of the FDA. Yeah, they poison everything: food, water, air, medicine, your deodorant, anything, everything that they can get into your body in large part, if not otherwise labeled, is a poison. And so we do appreciate the efforts of the FDA putting these toxins on the market for us as they celebrate HHS National Conference on Women's Health. Dr. Oz, he's listed in the Epstein files. What did he do? He wanted to invite him to a party. Remember that? We covered that email there. He was inviting Epstein to his parties. But we can trust Dr. Oz, right? He's a TV doctor, man. And now he's headed CMS. He says America's trust in physicians and hospitals decreased by more than 40% between 2020 and 2024. You don't say. You should literally have zero. If you have a brain and you're not like, if you have a brain and you could halfway function in society, your trust for the health department at this point, after the bat debacle, even before that, mine was at zero, but now, especially after the bat debacle, it should be zero. He went on to say, in this administration, we've committed to earning it back. Really, I'm not even going to go through the laundry list of betrayals that Maha, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Dr. Oz, and the Trump administration have bestowed upon us. We've reported it and reported it and reported it. So good luck in gaining public trust back. There, Dr. Oz, Mr. A. Epstein, want to come to a party? You know what I mean? Like, dude. Health Hex, just the name alone is right. Health Hex announces a partnership with Microsoft to connect consumers' digital identity, comprehensive health records, and consent infrastructure to power Copilot Health. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? I think we know plenty can go wrong. Partnering up with a company called Health Hex. Report out of, and where was that report? That was from Microsoft. Okay, Highwire, Del Bigtree's outfit. I still love those guys. They put way too much faith into Trump, honestly, and they've been having a hard time breaking with it, but they're seeing the light, as everybody is, as the betrayals mount to Maha, specifically here now. The Highwire posted this. 1 in 8 Americans is currently taking GLP-1 drug, and the safety picture keeps getting worse. And again, Ozempic synthetic Gila monster venom is what this garbage is, essentially, along with a bunch of other garbage. A new study analyzing 5 years of medical records from over 146,000 adults found GLP-1 users had a 30% higher chance of osteoporosis and a 100% higher chance of osteomalacia. I don't even know what that is. Don't sound good, though. And 12% higher risk of gout compared to non-users. But don't you worry, because you can get your Ozempic, and we reported on, Ozempic real cheap here from TrumpRx.gov. There you go. TrumpRx.gov, and find the world's lowest prices on prescription drugs. And get your synthetic Gila monster venom from the country's top drug dealer, your president, Trump, at trumprx.gov. Are we seeing and feeling the betrayal here? I certainly am. I certainly am. As the oil crisis is now increasing and doesn't look like it's going to back off anytime soon, we're taking a daily look at gasoline prices. Let's take a look here. According to AAA here, it's inched up a little bit here now. The national average per gallon of gasoline in America, $3.59. And of course, California, they're killing us here. I broke down yesterday all the little fees, fines, excise taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, environmental taxes. And so we're looking at $5.36, the highest in the nation here. And so we wouldn't have it any other way in California, would we? So, yeah, not looking good. But like Trump said, he don't care. They're making a whole lot of money. Who's they? We. Well, Rockefeller oil oligarchs, of course. Iran's foreign minister spokesperson just made it crystal clear we don't want the Strait of Hormuz insecure, but every ship must coordinate with our Navy before passing through. Well, they don't have a Navy, so who do they coordinate with? It's getting tricky, right? It's getting tricky. Kind of all ties together. The sex trafficking, organ trafficking, eating babies, drinking the blood. It's all part of the same cult here now. Here's a flashback to 2009 where at least 17 rabbis were arrested in New Jersey, for harvesting and trafficking human organs. Here's a nice little reminder about our good friends, the rabbis out of New Jersey.
These were arrests on a massive scale. Amongst those taken into custody by the FBI were city mayors, politicians and religious leaders. The authorities needed buses to cope with the sheer scale of the operation.
New Jersey's corruption problem is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. Corruption is not only pervasive, it has become ingrained in New Jersey's political culture.
It's thought that religious charities controlled by prominent rabbis were used to launder cash. The arrests were part of a 10-year operation that uncovered money laundering on an international scale, as well as corruption and the sale of human organs in the US, Switzerland and Israel.
The list of people we arrested sounds like it should be the roster for a meeting of community leaders. But sadly, they weren't meeting in a boardroom this morning. They were in the FBI booking room.
Prosecutors say one rabbi was dealing in human kidneys for transplant for a decade, buying them from vulnerable people at a huge profit. The scale of the corruption across New Jersey has outraged residents.
It just goes back to the belief that Hudson County is incredibly corrupt. And I thought we were making headway and becoming less corrupt.
The number of arrests was remarkable even for New Jersey, where more than 130 public officials have pleaded guilty or been convicted of.
When was this? 1961? No, this was 2009. And being upset by it makes you antiseptic. So you should praise your organs being harvested by these maniacs. And what does Bob say? Some religion that gets you arrested, some religion that gets you killed, man. That's where we're at here. Again, flashback, shout out to Bob. Who's the guy? I can't even remember the guy's name that you sent the video of. Tell me his name again so we can give him credit. O'Banion? Is that the guy's name? Anyway, here's the video, and it's going to tie into this story. Illuminati wife, Kate Griggs. Everybody should go listen to this because it's bombshell. It's bombshell what she's saying. And it sounded crazy at the time, but look at the way things are, and it makes a whole lot of sense how essentially the army is running a bunch of hit squads all over the place. It's straight up organized crime, trafficking drugs, arms, you name it. You name the contraband, essentially, right? And assassination hit teams all over the place running around as well. And there are a bunch of homosexuals abusing children as well. And so it's all tying together. And she talks about her husband was missing at the time of this interview. He just went missing. He was a high up, I forget even the rank and all that, high up military dude. That's how she knew she was married to him. And he told her about the inner workings of their secret society and the goings on there. Anyway, great testimony from her. Everybody should go check that out. I'll post a link. I'd play the video, but I think they may get mad at the YouTube. So I'll post the link in Weaponized News Substack, and or everybody can just go search Illuminati wife Kay Griggs, and you can find all of those interviews. B. Rendon O'Connell. There you go. Thank you. Silver says 10-year investigation. What a effing joke. Oh, the common denominator. The common denominator, you see. But okay, back to Kay Griggs here. So she was saying that, oh yeah, her husband would just go missing for days, weeks at a time, sometimes part of his military duty, right? Well, this guy went missing, and you listen to her testimony, and these guys all start looking just so gross and dirty, man. Lieutenant Colonel George Griggs. This guy just went missing. Retired U.S. Air Force Major General William Neal McCasland, 68 years old, has been missing since leaving his Albuquerque home on foot on February 27th. His phone was left behind, and he has not contacted family since. McCasland previously commanded the Air Force Research Laboratory and later worked with a group studying unidentified aerial phenomenon, according to a report out of CNN. So these guys go missing because they're on some type of secret mission. They're all jacked up. They're all jacked up from their dirty secret missions. Anyhow, kind of rang a bell to me seeing that story and listening to Kay Griggs' testimony. It was like the same thing as she was describing her husband. Okay, well, turns out that a nearly 12-foot tall golden statue showing Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein reenacting the famous Titanic bow scene appeared Tuesday on Washington's National Mall. Here are those images, and this is the thumbnail for today's show. And so bravo to whoever put that up there. There you go. There you go. Quite an art installation in DC. Now we can just get an effigy of ball burned, and then maybe we'll be doing something. Here's a video of the art installation. Maybe not. Let's see if we can get this thing in the full screen for you. Okay, here it is. I don't believe that there's audio on this, but take a look. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yep. Looking over the Capitol, Congress right there. Bunch of sex offenders in Congress. So there you go. King of the world. What's that little plaque say? Here's the plaque on it. Let's show that quickly. It says, "The King of the World, the tragic love story between Jack and Rose, was built on a luxurious travel, raucous parties, and secret nuke sketches. This monument honors the bond between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, a friendship seemingly built on luxurious travel, raucous parties, and secret nuke sketches." Indeed. And what about the whole rabbit hole of the Titanic, right? That's a whole rabbit hole. Now, maybe it wasn't even a Titanic. It was a sister ship that was actually sunk, but full of a bunch of high-up industrialist financiers here in America that were opposed to the private central bank. The Federal Reserve just happened to die on the sinking of the Titanic, or what is alleged to be the Titanic. All coincidence, of course. Here's an AI clip here leading us into more Epstein reporting.
A team! Sean! We're going to war, soldier! Well, you are, not me. It's time to get boots on the ground!
It's Jeffrey's War. Are you a pathetic gooner looking for love?
Aren't we all? Well, we've got plenty of ladies.
And they're just waiting for liberation.
All you have to do is beat our challenge. It's time to roll the die on your lives. Let's see what these boys won. It's crippling PTSD and higher gas prices. A brand new luxury casket. You answered C, and you are correct. Do you have what it takes to play with Jeff Perez?
We want you to play Jeffrey's War.
Small world. Jeffrey Epstein's social network with Lynn de Rothschild. Members: Jeffrey Epstein, Lady de Rothschild, Viscount Astor, Victoria Harvey, Naomi Campbell, Aldra Hicks, shareholder Harvey Weinstein, investor Bob Pittman, board Rob Herzog, founder Eric Watchmeister. Here's that report right here from the Sunday Times, June 13th, 2004. And they name all the names back when they were the cool kids here, right? Were they the cool kids? Not really at this point. A small world, a private social network. Yeah, they're all in the Illuminati death cult. Here's Ro Khanna making a good point, actually. He says China has a communist authoritarian system, but their leaders weren't showing up on Epstein Island. Kind of a good point. And in China, they execute corrupt politicians publicly. Epstein had a drawer full of pictures of Donald Trump. There it is. Bunch of pictures of Donald Trump in his drawer right there, you can see. But don't worry, Trump has exonerated himself, so I'm sure there's nothing to worry about here, right? Let me tie this. I saw this post, see if I can do it live here with you, if my computer will cooperate. See if I can tie this in together here. Looks like Melania Trump was a high class call girl working. Well, we'll get to the exact reporting from Whitney Webb here in a second, but I wanted to find, it's hard to do it live. Melania. Anyhow, what she said something like empower women. Okay, so Melania. So one post said, Grizzy on the X said, so Melania was just one of Epstein's girls, referring to this email. Redacted to Epstein. I simply cannot believe this victory. No one called it. We all thought she'd win. You must be happy, though. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane the first weekend I went to visit you in Florida. Was the weekend he met Melania, and he kept on coming out of the bedroom saying, wow, what a hot piece of arse. Nuts. Anyway, hope you're enjoying Saudi. And then Whitney Webb says Melania was technically one of Paulo Zampoli's girls, but Zampoli and Epstein clearly overlapped considerably, were arguably part of the same trafficking op that also included the top executives at elite models like Gerald Marie. There's a reason Zampoli and Epstein both tried to acquire Elite in 2004. Oh, also, did you know that Zampoli is currently a special envoy under Trump involved in making trade deals alongside Epstein's neighbor, Howard Lutnick? For a deep dive, go to this guy. For a deep dive on Zampoli, including his cozy ties to Ghislaine's Terra Mar, see my article last year with this guy, Mark Goodwin. And the links there. So, yeah. Mark Middleton signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House under the Clinton administration 17 times. Clinton testified there must have been someone else who told Middleton to let Epstein in 17 times, I'm sure. Middleton died by suicide in 2023. It's all coincidental, of course. And then William Ramsey investigates, says the Epstein files, biggest cover-up in American history. Nothing comes close. And again, the Department of Justice, Blondie Bondi, are actively covering up and deleting files upon even further than the redactions. They're literally blocking files that were up at one time, a bunch of them, and doxing victims, and not complying with the Epstein Transparency Act as well. So the DOJ is actively covering up for this network of blood drinking baby eaters. Posted in Kansas City, March, release all the Epstein files, prosecute. That's some good activist work right there. Release all the Epstein files, prosecute. Yeah. Some good work, whoever did that. Grizzy posted that. That was Kansas City. Here's MTG.
Okay, we've got our government's a bunch of pedophiles, and they're all in it together, and they're eating children. Like, hold on. And our taxes are way past 3%. Like, we should be really, really mad. Really, really.
Pizzagate, Epstein ties together. Podesta tweet, William Ramsey investigates, posted this one. from Podesta. 250 retweets and all nut on my pizza. That's a real post from Podesta. And remember the Illuminati cards? Remember the Illuminati card game? Here's one of the cards. William Ramsey posted this. Pizza for the secret meeting. Is this the secret meeting? Here you go, sir. Double cheese, pepperoni, anchovy, green olives, black olives, mushroom, and a microphone. Play this card at any time. Pick one secret group to lose its secret status for the rest of the current term. Mm-hmm. And then was where we out here with the pizza. William Ramsey said Epstein files overlap with Pizzagate, infant massage and babysitting. Unfortunately, this is real. Who is Kevin Reynolds? Who pioneered infant massage? Who has a babysitting concierge in the USVI? Who was listed under massage in Epstein's little black book with the slight misspelling of the name? Who is friends with Bill Clinton? And you can see right here, tying it all together, East Hampton babysitters. And what was, Macaulay Culkin, remember that kid actor? I think he still acts as an adult anyway. William Ramsey said there were signs, and indeed, here is Macaulay Culkin's band. His band there in Hollywood, Macaulay Culkin and the Pizza Underground. There were signs. Indeed. Here's Nancy Mace. Epstein did not just traffic children. We believe he was running Ponzi schemes, committing financial crimes, and had intelligence connections nobody wants to discuss. Here's a post by Congresswoman Nancy Mace out of South Carolina. She needs to investigate her senator, Lindsey Graham.
The Epstein story is a story of the haves versus the have-nots. It's about a two-tiered system of justice where the rich and powerful get one version of the system of justice and everybody else gets something very, very different. And it's not just about sex trafficking. That is a large part of it, but I believe that there were financial crimes, insider trading crimes, Ponzi schemes. I believe there may have been federal agents involved based on some of the information that I've seen, and that there are dignitaries or world leaders that potentially may be involved. And that's essentially what it is at the end of the day. It's those that have money and power and those that don't.
You suggested that there may even be a sort of intel or spy element to this, that Epstein may be...
These people, either they're stupid or they're acting stupid. I don't think they're stupid, so they're acting stupid. It's Epstein said in the emails many times that he works for the Rothschilds, straight up. He's a Rothschild intelligence agent. Like, we can't make that connection, like, seriously. What do they say? Bob says, I hope Charles Ortel gets vindicated for his work on Clinton's, eats crow on Trump since 2015. Yeah. Here's Trump last night at his rally against Massey, right? In the Masonic stage show we call American politics here, as like the one guy, and he has a conservative voting record. I mean, so that's all we could judge him by, right? Is their voting record and their efforts. And so Trump's campaigning heavy to against Massey because he's playing the foil to Trump on the Republican side here now. And so William Ramsey posted this, the Epstein files, Trump campaigning against the guy who helped expose the greatest cover-up in American history. The MAGA people behind him couldn't be more obtuse. And so we're having a contest now, apparently, who's more obtuse? Left-wing, blue-haired, 85 freaking piercing people wearing furry outfits from thinking about taking a trip to the moon, or MAGA Trumpers wearing American flag shirts? Who is more obtuse?
I'm telling you, that is the greatest candidate. You know, I've done this before, not quite as violently and miserably as this one, but I just can't stand this guy. But I've had some candidates that weren't great. They'd get up, they wouldn't talk well. And I'm trying to beat like an incumbent bad congressman, senator, somebody. I do it all the time. If somebody's bad, I try and get them out of office. I should just leave it alone. My life would be a lot easier. But I have usually candidates that don't have what it takes. This guy is unbelievable. He is central casting. Just elect him. You're going to have no problems with him. Thank you. Ed, thank you.
They're really telling us they're actors out of central casting. He's literally just told us. Trump's in the WWE World Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's a reality TV show. All right, we've covered it. William Ramsey posted this. Epstein files, book receipts recovered from the trash in Palm Beach. Here's a book receipt. Sex slave, Amazon.com book receipt. You can see right there. SM 101, Slavecraft, Roadmaps for Erotic Servitude, a workbook for erotic slaves and their owners. And somebody posted this on, this is Epstein's bookshelf in his New York mansion. And they said on this post, from Madonna to Murdoch, 3 roads to quantum gravity, degenerate art, deceit. Some of the titles seen there on Epstein's bookshelf. Okay, continuing here. The Epstein files, again, William Ramsey, the Lifeboat Foundation, Safeguarding Humanity. Let me put this post up. Jeffrey is a former member of the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the New York Academy of Science, and a former Rockefeller University board member. He is actively involved in the Santa Fe Institute, the Theoretical Biology Initiative at the Institute for Advanced Study, the Quantum Gravity Program at the University of Pennsylvania, and once sat on the Mind, Brain, and Behavior Advisory Committee at Harvard University. He is also a member of the EDGE Foundation. The Jeffrey Epstein 4 Foundation is based out of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands and plays an increasingly active role in supporting youth and early education programs across the U.S. Virgin Islands and the United States. Lifeboat Foundation with Epstein's bio right there. And so, yeah, why is he into all this? Well, he's just an inquisitive, scientific kind of guy. No, they're doing MK Ultra style mind control programming. You see, it's exactly why he's into all this. Not because he's an inquisitive, scientific mind. I saw somebody post this. And they're like, Fresno's in there. I was like, really? So I searched it, and it is. So here's still what we can get, what we still have access to, but the FBI and DOJ, one and the same, essentially. But the DOJ is not, redacted. Fresno, interestingly enough, in the Epstein files comes up 93 times. And I haven't even looked at any of these because I was but I'm going to look at this. I'm going to dig through this and see if I can find what his connection or interest to Fresno is. Why is it mentioned 93 times there? And we might find a local story here. I don't know, but I did do the search, and Fresno, where I'm at, came up 93 times. I can guarantee you I'm not in the, well, let's just search me right now. Sam Bill Cheney. Let's search me. Oh, shit. No, I'm just kidding. Let me put it on the screen so you can see. I'm definitely not in there. There you go. No results found. We'll even do just Sam, right? Let's see if Sam Cheney is in there. Nope, still no results found. Yeah, because everything they're about is everything I'm against. So there you go. All right. I just exonerated myself. Let's see how many times Trump's name is in there. Oh, well, it turns out Trump, who's exonerated himself, appears in there 5,366 times. And that's just what they released, right? And that's not even counting the redactions and the files we don't have and the ones they pulled back, and on and on and on it goes. But he's exonerated himself. Okay, on to geopolitical news, which is mostly the war. I did see this report. Serbian President Vučić, but with a bunch of accents, so I know I'm pronouncing it incorrectly here. Anyhow, this guy, he says Serbia will not be joining NATO and intends to maintain its neutrality. Probably a good idea. Here's your favorite president and mine, shadow president of America, Bibi Netanyahu. Netanyahu said the war in Iran is turning Aardvarkland into a global superpower. But the clip I got of it is from I-24 News, and he's doing his language, and it has a bad overlay of translation. Do we have a good one? Let's see. We got to play this one, though, because he's talking about the whole end of times prophecy. Netanyahu said, we will make it to the return of the Messiah, but this will not happen next Thursday. It's hard to listen. I won't even play it for you. It wasn't anything that shocking. We know that's the program that they're selling. This was a funny one. Maybe we could play this as a shorter one. Netanyahu on his bribery case there in Aardvarkland. Remember, he's facing corruption, bribery charges in Aardvarkland because he's even more corrupt than the corrupt aardvarks in Aardvarkland. Imagine that. Trump says give him a pardon. But old Herzog, the president, is not budging on that. So Bibi today, discussing his bribery case out of Aardvarkland, says, and by the way, he's an internationally wanted war criminal. A bunch of Nordic countries have said that they will arrest him on site for violating international and to enforce the international arrest warrant issued on him. I don't know. It's good talk. It's good rhetoric. Will they actually do it? I have my doubts. Anyhow, about his Aardvarkland bribery case, Bibi says, I received a Bugs Bunny doll and a pack of cigars from a friend, and I'm being prosecuted for it as if it were a big deal. I think it's a little bit more than that. And every time he has a court date, he has to go kill somebody and there's an emergency, and then we actually can't see him get his day in court because he creates an emergency by design to not face justice in Aardvarkland court. Okay, I got a lot of reading to do, but I think we need to get this out. We need to get this out because this is the first official statement from the new Khomeiни's son, Saeed Mujtaba Khomeini. Let's get through it. This is the first official message by the third leader of Iran officially. It's pretty long. Bear with me. And this is via Simon. He sent me this, so I got a report on it for you here. Okay, so the first message from the new Khomeini after Trump whacked the dad Khomeini. This is the second son Khomeini, I believe. And they got Khomeinis lined up around the block and freaking, they got them lined up. So, you know what I'm saying? They're ready to become martyrs and go see Allah and all that involves, lined up around the block. Okay. And it looks like all of our efforts to balkanize these Muslims, a lot of these efforts have now backfired, and we've united these Muslims here now. Okay, here's his first message. It says, at the beginning of my words, I must offer my condolences to my Imam Mahdi. May God hasten his reappearance on the occasion of the heart-wrenching martyrdom of the great leader of the revolution, the beloved and wise Khomeini. I request from His Eminence his blessing, prayers for every individual of the great nation of Iran, and indeed for all the Muslims of the world, all servants of Islam and the revolution, the devoted Ishar Garan, the saviors of the martyrs of the Islamic movement, especially those of the recent war, and for my own humble self. On the decision of the Assembly of Experts, the second part of my address is to the great nation of Iran. Initially, I must briefly state my position regarding the vote of the Honorable Assembly of Experts. I, your servant, Saeed Mujtaba Husseini Khomeini, learned of the result of the Assembly's vote at the same time as you through the Islamic Republic of Iran broadcasting. For me to lean upon a place that was the seat of two great leaders, the great Khomeini and the martyr Khomeini and Khamenei. The first guy is spelled Kho. The second guy is Kha, as not to be confusing your Khomeinis and Khameneis, right? Continuing, it is a difficult task, the two martyred previous great leaders. This seat carries the history of one who, after more than 60 years of revolutionary struggle in the way of God and forgoing all types of pleasures and comforts, became a luminous gem and a disguised figure, not only in the current era, but through the history of this country's rulers. Both his life and the manner of his death were intertwined with a glory and honor born of relying on the truth. I had the honor of visiting his body after his martyrdom. What I saw was a mountain of steadfastness, and I heard that he had clenched the fist of his healthy hand Regarding the various facets of his personality, those with knowledge must speak for a long time. In this brief space, I suffice with this summary and leave the details for other appropriate occasions. This is the reason for the difficulty of leaning on the chair of leadership after such a person. Bridging the gap is possible only through the assistance of the Almighty and the help of you, the people. The power of the people and the concept of the republic, I must emphasize a point directly related to the essence of my message. Among the arts of the martyred leader and his great predecessor was bringing the people into the arenas, providing them with continuous insight and awareness, and relying on their power in practice. They actualized the true meaning of, quote, the public and republicanism. So is Khamenei more conservative than Trump? Well, hell yeah, he is more conservative than Trump. And believed in it from the depths of their souls. The clear effect of this was seen during these few days when the country was without a leader and without a commander-in-chief. The insight of intelligence of the great Iranian nation in the recent event and their steadfastness, courage, and presence forced friends to admire and enemies to wander. It was you, the people, who led the country and guaranteed its authority. The verse I cited at the beginning of this text means that no divine sign is ended or forgotten unless the Almighty provides something similar to it or better in its place. The relevance of using this noble verse is not to suggest that this humble servant is on the level of the martyred leader, let alone superior to him. Rather, it is to draw attention to the timely and prominent role of you, the dear nation. If the great blessing was taken from us, it is placed in its place. The Amar-like presence of the Iranian nation was once again granted to this system. Know that if your power does not appear on the scene, neither the leadership nor any of the various apparatuses whose real status is to serve the people will have the necessary effectiveness to better realize this. Continuing, he said, trusting God, remembrance of God, reliance on him, and seeking the intersection of the infallibles must be viewed as the great elixir that guarantees all kinds of openings and certain victory over the enemy. Unity, no damage could be done to the unity between the individuals and the strata of the nation. This is achieved by looking past points of contention. Presence on the scene, effective presence must be maintained, whether in the form you showed during these days and nights of war or through various roles in social, political, educational, and security fields. I remind you of the importance of attending the Quads Day 1447 2026 ceremonies, where the element of, quote, breaking the enemy must be noticed by all. Mutual aid, do not withhold help from one another. I ask service organizations to not spare any assistance to people and popular relief structures during these difficult days. Military matters and the resistance front is the third part of my speech, in a sincere thank you to our brave warriors in conditions where our nation and dear homeland have been oppressively attacked by the heads of the front of arrogance. They have blocked the enemy's path with crushing blows. Dear brothers in arms, the demand of the masses is the continuation of effective and regret-inducing defense. Furthermore, the lever of closing the Strait of Hormuz must certainly continue to be used. We have carried out studies regarding opening other fronts where the enemy has little experience and is highly vulnerable. These will be activated if the state of war continues. I also sincerely thank the fighters of the resistance front. We consider the countries of the resistance front our best friends. Undoubtedly, the synergy of the front will shorten the path to deliverance from the Zionist sedition. As we saw brave Yemen and the devoted Hezbollah and courageous Iraqi resistance take this line. Personal loss and the promise of revenge. The fourth part of my speech is to those who have been harmed in these past few days, those grieving martyrs, the wounded, and those whose homes and businesses were damaged. Firstly, I express my deepest sympathy with the survivors. This is based on a shared experience aside from my father, whose loss has become a public mourning, and I consigned to the caravan of martyrs my dear and faithful wife, in whom I had great hopes, my self-sacrificing sister who devoted herself to her parents, her young child, the husband, and my other sister, who was a scholarly and noble human being. What makes patience possible is the certain divine promise of a great forward for the patient, a great reward for the patient. Secondly, I assure everyone that we will not forego avenging the blood of your martyrs. The revenge we have in mind is not only for the supreme leaders. Every member of our nation killed by the enemy is an independent case for revenge. We will be particularly sensitive to the blood of our children. The crime the enemy intentionally committed regarding the school bombing that kicked this whole thing off holds a special status in this reckoning. Furthermore, I mandate officials to provide free medical services to the disabled of these attacks and to implement plans to compensate for financial losses to private property. We will take reparations from the enemy. If they refuse, we will take from their assets or destroy them to an equal extent. The regional countries, the fifth part, is addressing the leaders of certain regional countries. We have land and sea borders with 15 countries and have always desired constructive relations. However, the enemy has built military and financial bases in some of your countries. In the recent attacks, some of these bases were used. As we warned, we attacked only the bases without targeting the host countries. We will continue this if necessary. I recommend you close those bases as soon as possible, as it is clear that America's claim of providing security is a lie. The final word to the martyr leader, your passing has left a heavy scar on our hearts. You always yearned for this end until the Almighty granted it to you while reciting the Holy Quran on the morning of the 10th of Ramadan. Many did not know your true worth. We vow to strive with all of our being to raise this flag, the main flag of the front of truth. Finally, I thank the grand majority, religious authorities, the heads of the three branches of government, and the temporary leadership council for their measures. I ask our master, Imam Mahdi, to seek from the Almighty decisive victory over the enemy and health and prosperity for our nation. Peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and his blessings. Signed, Khamenei. So that was a long one, but I had to get it out there, his first message, and that's from the supreme leader of Iran. Continuing, despite U.S. Aardvarkland war, U.S. intel, I saw this report last night, it was out of Reuters, U.S. intel assessments indicate that Iran's leadership remains firmly in place and is not at risk of collapse even after nearly 2 weeks of sustained airstrikes. According to sources speaking to Reuters, multiple reports show that the Iranian government continues to enjoy broad support among the public. The latest intelligence completed in the past few days comes as Washington faces rising domestic pressure over surging oil prices. Well, Trump has hinted at the possibility of ending the military campaign, but Aardvarkland officials have privately acknowledged that there is no certainty the bombardment will affect Iran's government, underscoring its reliance on cohesion even after the killing of the supreme leader Khamenei on February 28th. The poorest country in the Middle East, Yemen, put out a statement from the Houthis. They say this all started with the Epstein documents, which proved a connection to Zionist-owned biolabs that created the Bat Times. They declared that everything is connected. The Houthis are big conspiracy theorists apparently out there connecting the dots and noticing all these things. And then allegedly the new Khamenei has an X account here now. So maybe we want to hear what this guy's saying. I don't know, or just listen to US propaganda all day, or maybe listen right to what this guy's saying. You know what I mean? Get it right from the source. So allegedly, that's his new X account. I'll post a link in the description below or in the Weaponized News Substack. You can go follow the new Khamenei there. Here's where we're at. Let's see. Again, I think he said it all. A lot of this reporting he said in there. We only attack American bases in neighboring countries, because that's a big thing they're trying to say. You guys are attacking all of your neighbors. You're horrible neighbors. And they keep saying, no, it's, well, we built our country and then you guys built these military bases and we're whacking your military bases. But the U.S. propaganda, they leave that part out. And they're like, they're attacking everywhere. They've gone insane. No, they're attacking specific tactical targets here now. This is a crazy one. This Catholic lady, they threw her off of, right, we've been reporting on this. Trump kicked, or he didn't, but his board, he created the Religious Liberty Commission, right? And this Catholic lady said, well, guess what? I'm not cool with Zionism, right? The only Catholic woman who opposed Zionism was removed as a prelude to the Iran war. What's her name? Carrie Bowler. Carrie Prejean Bowler, Catholic woman here, got kicked out because she disagreed with all the Zionists on Trump's Religious Liberty Commission. Shocking, I know. Here's a message from the White House she posted. Dear Bowler, on behalf of Trump, I am writing to inform you that your position as a member of the Religious Liberty Commission is terminated effective immediately. And so that's what you get when you disagree with a Zionist on the Religious Liberty Commission. Okay, where are we at? We're at the 2-hour mark here. They're targeting the next target of escalation here, may be water infrastructure. Looks like they're starting to talk about targeting water infrastructure. Not good in the desert, right? In West Asia there. NATO Ambassador Whitaker says there's no proof Russia is helping Iran. There's a bunch of reports saying that China and Russia, through their satellites and other means, are helping Iran. Here's our NATO Ambassador Whitaker said no. Again, conflicting reports all over the place. Okay, Beirut on fire. Here's some video from downtown Beirut earlier today, and they've been consistently bombing the hell out of Lebanon. Now it's went to southern Lebanon. Now it's gone to Beirut's on fire, highly densely populated. Here's another clip of that. You could see even better on this clip, I believe.
جسر الرنج المشهور والمعروف. مزيد من الغارات إذن على هذا المبنى وهو لم.
It's wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. Yeah, that's not Gaza. That is Lebanon here now. Take a look. They're leveling the whole place. Leveling the whole place. And is this backfiring now on Aardvark land and America? Right? Are these attacks on Lebanon, Hezbollah, now unifying the Lebanese people on the side of Hezbollah and Iran? May very well be the case here now with a failed balkanization campaign. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees said today that as many as 3.2 million people have been displaced since the beginning of the Iran war in the West Asia region. 3.2 million people, and Trump just laughs about it. Iran's Republic Guard, right? They announced the 42nd wave of attacks, part of Operation True Promise 4, were carried out today, and it's ongoing. They're doing attacks right now, like as we speak. As we speak, senior advisor to the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says Iran poses significant capabilities that enable it to sustain a long-term war. He said, we have destroyed 70% of U.S. bases and headquarters in the region. Again, that's a claim from Iran. Do I trust them? No. Do I trust our own government? No. We got this is the information we have, so we're reporting it, right? And again, don't be confused with the sex offender map here, because it's hard to get any information out of Aardvark land. It's extremely censored right now. This is not the sex offender registry map. These are potential, well, these are missile warning siren sites going off of potential missile targets there. Not to be confused with Aardvark land sex offender map. They overlay on each other in most instances here now. Okay. Iraqi sources claim a French helicopter caught on fire after being struck by a suicide drone. 6 French soldiers were wounded. An Iranian kamikaze drone took down a French helicopter. Let's see here. Spokesman for the Iranian armed forces said, we will set fire to the oil and gas in the region at the slightest attack on the energy infrastructure and ports of Iran. We warn the aggressor government and all its allies that the slightest attack on our energy infrastructure and ports of the Islamic Republic of Iran will be met with our crushing and devastating response. In the event of such aggression, all oil and gas infrastructures in the region in which the United States and its Western allies have interests will be set on fire and destroyed. They're ready to burn it all down, like right now. Oh, back to Carrie mentioned this earlier. The lost KC-135 aircraft was carrying 6 crew members. No word on the condition, and that's a report out of ZBS News. So we got 6 missing U.S. service members right there. Well, we don't know the condition of the missing KC-135 aircraft. Airstrikes hit PMF headquarters in western Iraq. Dozens reported killed. At least 30 fighters were killed and around 50 others injured in that incident. The Lebanese Ministry of Health reports that 9 people have been killed and 7 others wounded in bombings in southern Lebanon. And you're like, but they're still killing Palestinians, right? The genocide continues. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, in the last 24 hours, 1 Palestinian reported dead and 9 others injured. U.S. aardvark land strike over 20,000 non-military targets across Iran. Iranian Red Crescent reports 21,720 civilian units have been damaged in airstrikes. Of these, 17,353 are residential units and 4,122 are commercial units, along with education facilities. Aardvark land strikes have killed 687 people and injured 1,774 in Lebanon since March 2nd, according to Lebanese Health Ministry. Five-year-old boy, Palestinian, shot and killed in northern Gaza by aardvark forces. 5-year-old boy. At least 3 killed in an aardvark land airstrike targeting South Lebanon. So the reports are just stacking up, right? The bodies are stacking up here. 2 professors have been killed following an aardvark land airstrike near the Facility of Sciences at the Lebanese University in Hadahata. So there you go. They're whacking professors now. Lebanon's displacement nightmare. So what did the UN say? 2.3 million displaced in the region. A large number of those are coming out of Lebanon. Lebanon's displacement nightmare spiraling out of control. Already estimated 800,000 are evacuating Lebanon. Experts are warning if the bombing continues in the next 2 to 3 days, it will hit 1 million. Everybody's leaving. They're like, I'm out. You guys are going to bomb me. You know what I mean? You blame them? IDF just canceled the indictment of 5 reserve soldiers accused of severely abusing a Palestinian detainee. They literally raped them with a knife, right? There's video of it. The victim was hospitalized with a torn rectum, broken ribs, and a punctured lung from alleged physical, mental, and sexual abuse. The charges were dropped. There's video of them doing it. They stuck a knife up his rear end, for God's sake. But obviously they shouldn't be prosecuted for that, right? And then what do we got? We got a couple more reports, and then that's all I got for today. Let's see. We got this Chabad head dude, Chabad rabbi, U.S. anti-Semitic czar. He announces the Justice Department will use the law to prosecute Americans or prevent them from getting jobs if they commit anti-Semitic crimes against the aardvark community.
The scourge of anti-Semitism must be defeated anywhere and everywhere that it exists. As we just heard before, from holding universities accountable to using laws within the Justice Department, existing laws, to hold and prosecute crimes against the Jewish community, from preventing people from working and going to worship in their shuls. And then, as was touched on very briefly, but a visa vetting program that we are just beginning now to see the results.
And then final report of the day here from Greg Reese, 35 acres and the Schofield Bible.
According to Hebrew scripture, the 35 acres of land in southeast Jerusalem, known as the Temple Mount, was originally a threshing floor for processing grain and was purchased by King David for the purpose of building an altar. The first temple was built around 957 BC, stood for nearly 4 centuries, and was destroyed in 586 BC. It was this first temple, Solomon's temple, which became the symbolic importance of the Temple Mount. The Zohar and Kabbalah describe how the demon Asmodai taught Solomon how to control demons, which is how he built the temple. The legend of King Solomon is arguably the foundation of all Western occultism. Compiled in the 17th century from ancient sources, the Lesser Key of Solomon features a catalog of 72 demons, each with a name, a specific set of powers, and a unique symbol so that one can call upon them, as Solomon once did. This tradition of demonology continued on famously with Aleister Crowley in the 20th century and can be seen in the highest levels of Western government today. The Second Temple was built around 516 BC and was destroyed by Rome in 70 AD. The Romans then built a temple to Jupiter on the site. The city was renamed and Jews were forbidden entry. After the Roman Empire transformed into the Holy See, the Temple Mount became a garbage dump until 637 AD, when the second Caliph of Islam conquered Jerusalem and reportedly cleared the area of refuse with his own hands. Decades later, the Al-Aqsa Mosque was constructed and still stands today. In 1099, the armies of the Crusade captured Jerusalem, and for nearly a century, the Al-Aqsa Mosque became headquarters to the Knights Templar, until 1187, when Islam recaptured Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque was restored to Islamic worship. Cyrus Ingerson Schofield was a disgraced lawyer accused of forgery and fraud, who abandoned his wife and children and went on to become pastor of the First Congregational Church in Dallas, Texas in 1882. In 1896, Theodor Herzl published Der Judenstaat, the Jewish State, which argued that Jews constituted a nation and required a state of their own. Cyrus Schofield received financial support from Samuel Untermyer, a prominent Jewish Zionist, and Schofield's connection to the wealthy lifestyle of the Lotus Club in New York City. In 1909, with the prestige of Oxford University Press, a reference Bible was published, with Schofield's own notes printed in the same physical space as the biblical text itself. An ideal format to psychologically fool the reader into thinking these radical ideas are sacred text. Radical ideas such as, in order for the second coming of Jesus Christ to arrive, a specific sequence of events must occur. The modern return of Jews to the land of Israel, the rise of a world dictator, the destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the construction of the Third Temple of Solomon in its place. In 1917, after the British conquered Palestine, Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour sent a letter to Lord Walter Rothschild, a Zionist leader of the British Jewish community and member of the Rothschild banking family. The letter stated, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. The League of Nations formally granted Britain the Mandate for Palestine in 1920, and on May 14, 1948, the United Nations planted the official flag of Israel into parts of Palestine, forcing about 700,000 locals to leave. After the Six-Day War of 1967, Israel conquered more of Palestine, including East Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That same year, the New Schofield Reference Bible was published, and evangelical grifters hailed it as prophetic. The Schofield Reference Bible became arguably the single most influential religious text in American Protestantism after the Bible itself. It shaped the theological formation of generations of pastors and evangelists. By the mid-20th century, millions of American evangelical Christians had been shaped by a theological worldview in which the modern state of Israel is a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, and in which opposing Israel's territorial claims is the equivalent of opposing God. Gregory's reporting.
There you go. Evangelical Christian Zionists, you've been scammed. You've been frauded by the evangelical grifters. All right, that's all I got today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I do see we're doing pretty good there on the numbers on the Rumble. Thank you guys for tuning in there, and the YouTube as well. Thank you, guys. I think we covered a lot of information on today's show. Let's pray for peace, man. Let's pray for peace. This whole thing, it looks like it's only escalating. It needs to simmer down, calm down. Let's have peace. It's all bad, man. It's all bad what they're doing here now. Okay, over to the channels quickly. On the Odysee, we got John Huffman, Gurr. Thank you guys for tuning in over there. Let's see. John says, which is more obtuse? The magatards take the cake. Trump just suggested he is a gifted speaker, huh? That off-the-cuff bit about Iranians beheading mythical babies and cutting women in half indicates mental illness, and there is no great rhetoric either. Indeed, John. Indeed. Spewing straight up, easily debunked propaganda, i.e. throwing babies out of incubators, Iraq, right? The more the rabbis talk, the more the goys know that they hate us and want to kill us. Chabad is supremacist cult and death cult, of course, because it's based on aardvarkism. Indeed, John. Indeed. Thank you for those comments. Over to the other channels. What do we got? Facebook, Twitch, X, Bitchute, Kick. Thank you guys for tuning in there. Of course, YouTube and Rumble, where the majority of the good chats are going on there. I got to go, guys, so I can't go through the chat, but I do appreciate all of the chat banter and keeping it lively there. For the listeners in the chat, thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow's show, we're going to have a guest. We're going to have Snow from Propelled. That should be a very good one. So tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. And we'll be back here on Friday for more Weaponized News.